New features in BlueSkyPlan in general, including in the Endodontic module, make endodontic root canal planning faster and easier than ever before. In this training tutorial, I will demonstrate how to plan endodontic procedures and how to design and fabricate a surgical guide for root canals. We're going to launch the endodontic functionality from the BlueSkyPlan launcher home screen by clicking on Endodontics. We could create a new patient if relevant. I'm going to assign our plan to an existing patient, so I'll use a search functionality and select our patient Blue Sky, select the patient, and our treatment is auto created. We could go ahead and modify if necessary by clicking on the edit button. I'll click the relevant jaw and then click on next. We're now automatically prompted to select the relevant optical scan, so you can navigate on your computer to the relevant location and left click once on the relevant optical scan. You see a preview show up on the right side of the screen. Once you've selected the scan, go ahead and click on OK. I'm going to add a CT scan as well, so I'll go over the patient CT scan, click the plus to import, navigate to the correct CT scan, and then select it and click OK. If relevant, we could go ahead and modify the field of view simply by using our left mouse button to grab and drag any of the frames going around our CT scan preview to define the relevant field of view. Once you've done so, go ahead and click on OK. Click Next to load the selected data into the BlueSkyPlan software. The software is now running completely automatic model alignment to align the optical scan to the CT scan. Okay, we can see the model has been aligned in our 3D view in the bottom left. I'm not importing anything else at this time, so I'll go ahead and exit out to close that screen. While I've been blurring the patient's name, I'll just show a new quick trick that we have here. File, Anonymize, which is great if you want to completely anonymize the patient's data in a case that you're going to be sending or sharing. You could assign a new name. I'll assign Blue Sky and then click OK. And we could see here that the patient's name has been updated. And if you left click, by the way, it hides the patient's name as well from the 3D view. Now, before we go ahead and click on continue to endodontic planning, what we're going to do is run the automatic CT segmentation. Since we're dealing with a mandibular case, just to save time, I'm going to uncheck the maxilla option. I'll just automatically segment the mandible, and I will not check the checkbox for merge teeth with jaws. I want each tooth to be segmented individually as well as the jaw itself. Once I've selected the correct relevant options, I'm going to click on Start Automatic Segmentation. The software is now going to segment tooth by tooth and the relevant jaw as well. This might take a minute or so on your computer. Just let it run until it completes the process. Okay, once that's done, we could see that the nerves have been automatically detected as well. Let's go ahead and switch over to surfaces. I'll turn off the CT scan, and we could see that each tooth has been individually segmented. If I hide the model, we can see each individual tooth and the roots as well. We're going to plan a root canal for tooth number 20, and we'll design an endodontic guide accordingly. And now I'm going to click Continue to Endodontic Planning on the top right of the screen. Now, the features and functionality here are very similar to the surgical guide module, and I'll show how to use those capabilities to plan the endodontic case. And there are some differences, which I'll of course point out as we go along. I'm going to start by clicking Add Implant. The implant, of course, represents the drill and where the final position of the drill is going to be, and of course, the trajectory. So I'm going to click Custom Implant and define the length to be the working length of the drill. So if the drill extends from the handpiece by 23 millimeters, for example, I'll go ahead and enter 23 here. And if the width of the drill, or if you're using a relevant file, is let's say 1 millimeter, then I'll enter 1 millimeter here. So we now have our implant, which essentially reflects the length and the width of the drill. Abutments are of course not necessary, so I'll go over to abutment and click No Abutments, and go ahead and click on OK. One of the differences between the endodontic module that we have here in the surgical guide module is that wherever I'm going to click now, the tip of the implant is going to be placed, not the center, rather the tip. So I could place this implant into any view. I could use my right mouse button to zoom in and to zoom out. I could go through the relevant slices. And once I'm ready to place the implants, I'm going to left click once, and we could see that the tip of the implant has been placed. Now, when I rotate, I'm rotating with the tip in place. I'm rotating the rest of the implant. And of course, I keep saying implant, but this is reflecting where the final position of the drill is going to be. So I could use my various views, zoom in on our tooth, and adjust the positioning accordingly. Now, of course, as I scroll through our axial slices, I see the blue indicator line moving up and down, indicating the location of that slice. So if I go to the tip of the implant and I start scrolling through and zoom in on the relevant location, I could see if the implant is positioned correctly or not. Now we have a lot of different lines going on here. Let's go ahead and clean up the view a bit. So if I go over to the surfaces and I click on top of the hint column, it will toggle off the hint, which is the outline of the teeth that we saw previously. And if I go over to View 2D, I could hide the cross-section projection. And now I have improved visibility. And if I want to improve it a little bit more, I could turn off as well the 2D dental curve, and now I could see the implant and the relevant tooth. So I zoomed in here on the cross-section slice as well. Let's go ahead and grab the implant and move the tip of the implant to the relevant location. And now we could start scrolling through our axial slices, and as we see what needs to be modified, the positioning that needs to be modified, we could go ahead and adjust that positioning in any of our views. And this is a difference as well, because usually when you click on an implant, the other views jump, everything jumps to update the positioning. But here we do not have that. We've disabled that. You know, let's actually turn back on our cross-section slices so we could see what slice we're looking at here. There we go. We could see our middle yellow line represents our middle cross-section slice. And we could scroll through the different views to confirm and improve the visibility as necessary. And of course, we could see in our 3D view as well. I'm going to change our tooth number 20 to greens as a more contrasting color. And I'll use the transparency slider here to make it transparent so we could see the positioning of our implant in the 3D view as well. Once that's done, we're almost ready to plan our surgical guide. Before we do that, we're going to switch over to our implant panel, turn on the software guide tube. The software guide tube, of course, represents the future hole that's going to be created in the surgical guide, or in our situation, the endodontic guide. We're going to confirm that we're in advanced mode, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom here to make some modifications to our software guide tube. Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is the offset. The offset is the distance between the top of the implant and the top of the software guide tube. Traditionally, for implant surgical guides, we need to have an offset from the top of the implant to the top of the surgical guide. In our situation, since we have the implant representing the length of the drill, we're going to drop the offset down to 0. Now, if you are going to be using a metal cylinder in this guide, then the settings will be slightly different. What we could see now, essentially, is that the top of the implant or the top of the drill is flush with the top of the hole in the surgical guide with the top of our software guide tube. If we want to keep it flush, but we're going to be using a metal cylinder that has a lip of 0.5 millimeter, for example, then what we're actually going to do is we're going to enter or use the arrows to drop it down by the height of the metal cylinder lip. So if it's a 1 millimeter lip, then we drop it down. So now the implant is higher than the software guide tube, but with the 1 millimeter lip of the metal cylinder, it will once again be flush. So let's assume we're not using a metal cylinder here, so we're going to put the offset at 0. And now we're going to look at the guide hole diameter. This is the inner diameter of the hole in the surgical guide. So if we're going to be using a metal cylinder, then this guide hole diameter will be 1/10 of a millimeter larger than the outer diameter of the metal cylinder. So if the outer diameter of the metal cylinder is 3 millimeters, then this will be 3.1 millimeters. In our situation, if we're assuming that we're not using a metal cylinder and that the width of the drill is 1 millimeter, then we could change this to 1/10 of a millimeter larger than the drill to 1.1 millimeters. And now we could see that the hole of the inner diameter of the software guide tube, which is going to be our surgical guide, has dropped to 1.1 millimeters. Now the height is the height of the software guide tube. If there's enough clearance above the tooth, then it doesn't really matter. We can leave it at 4 millimeters. If we want to reduce the height of the software guide tube to the height of the surgical guide or the height of the endodontic guide, we could go ahead and change it to 3 millimeters, for example. And we could see the software guide tube has updated accordingly. Once we finalize and confirm the settings here, I'm going to switch over to the guide panel to create the guide. I'll click the automatic curve button. We can see the endodontic guide curve has been drawn automatically, and windows have been placed automatically as well. We'll go ahead and enlarge this so we have better visibility. I could right click on our implants and click lock implant so we don't move it by accident. And we'll click edit curve, review the placement of the curve, and modify as needed. Once that's done, I'm going to click create endo guide button. And our endo guide has been created accordingly. Now here also as well, when you click on the settings for the guide, we've added an option to have an endo guide thickness that's different than our general guide thickness. So if I want to make this 2 millimeters, for example, I could go ahead and click on 2, choose the save and OK option, and click create endo guide again. It will regenerate my endo guide. If we want to change anything in terms of the window placement, we could right click and click show windows. So for example, if we want to extend the window completely through, we could go ahead and do that. Or if we want to add an additional window, we could click add window. Adjust accordingly. And after we made any modifications to the window placement, simply click again, create guide, and we'll refabricate the guide. So finally, if we go back to our implant list and turn off our software guide tube, we could see our completed endo guide. Going to the guide panel and clicking save endo guide will export the guide to our computer.